Hello, Mikeys.
Hello, Isaacs.
Hello, Misty. Good morning.
Good morning.
November 1st.
It's a new month.
Yeah.
New month, new me.
How was your Halloween?
Oh, I don't remember.
You go trick-or-treating in different cities every night. Trick-or-treat.
That's right. Yep.
I brought Latin treats.
I brought all the Latin treats.
My Halloween was good. Thank you for asking.
Where did you do anything fun?
I did. I stayed inside and didn't let any children have candy.
This doesn't sound really very much fun.
I live in a building where they can't get in.
Yeah,
anyway.
they can't get to you.
Yeah.
I live upstairs in a like 4 apartment building, and so they don't come to me either.
Yeah.
Makes me sad.
You could sit out front.
I've thought about it. We normally, because we have a lot of families in our neighborhood, so we have a lot of little kids.
You live in a rich neighborhood, too. I bet there's a lot of kids.
I don't live in a rich neighborhood. I live in a nice neighborhood.
Speaking of very rich people.
Yeah.
I have no idea if this person's rich or not. But today, on this day in history, was the revealing of the Sistine Chapel.
The reveal of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
By Michelangelo. And Michelangelo Light. Now available at your local beer retailer.
Michelangelo Light.
So this is going to be 15 minutes on Michelangelo's life.
I'm excited because I don't really know very much about him.
Is it Michelangelo or Michelangelo?
I mean, I'm sure back then it was probably Michelangelo.
I saw something that had the Italian pronunciation earlier.
Italian.
Hey. Oh, so this is how we'll bring in the intro today.
Hey.
This doesn't make a sound, though.
Hey.
Are we ready to begin?
Good morning!
My name is Misty.
Come on, Ike, it's time.
We would be honored if you would join us.
The greatest adventure of all time.
We just become best friends. Yep.
Come on, let's get in character.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Oh, come on!
What'd you guys think about the intro from last week? The spooky
Oh, that's
intro.
right. Because last week was the Halloween week, full of all the scary
We slowed it
episodes.
down for you.
We did.
Put it in black and white.
Ooh,
Talked about creepy stuff all week.
We did.
Speaking of creepy.
Was Michelangelo creepy?
I mean, he sculpted a lot of wieners.
Well, because that's what they sculpted back then. They weren't wieners. They were sculptures of wise men.
With wieners.
With, for the most part, small wieners.
That was a sign of distinction back then.
It wasn't.
So,
I've seen David.
Okay.
Michelangelo's famous sculpture.
I'm like, you want to narrow which David
Have
down?
I seen a David? No, I haven't seen a David. You said it.
Folks, it's been a great run.
It has. It's been fun. Sorry, guys.
This is over.
It's over.
Friendship,
you know,
over.
Because at 45 years old, I'm still supposed to be a virgin in Ike's mind.
You're not 45 for another 3 days.
Well, close enough.
Happy birthday in case I forget
Over
in 10 minutes.
Are you kidding me? All right. So did you know that he sculpted David, his famous sculpture, from a discarded block of marble?
That makes sense, but that would have to be a huge block of marble.
Yeah,
the thing's what, like 12 feet tall?
Yeah, it's known as the Giant. The massive slab that he used had been quarried nearly 40 years earlier for a series of sculptures and eventually abandoned for the Florence Cathedral. It had deteriorated, and after years of exposure to the elements, that's when he began working with it in 1501. And it already bore chisel marks from more than one frustrated sculptor that tried and couldn't do anything with it. So, I mean, he was a genius for many reasons, but he took something that many people had tried to sculpt out of and had been unable, and turned it into one of his most brilliant and also like one of the most lasting pieces of art in the world.
How long do you think it took him to do that?
Ooh, a long time.
Because the other thing I want to know is how do they make all those chisel marks all smooth? They don't have sandpaper back then.
No, but I'm sure they had something that acted in the same means as sandpaper.
Maybe a tougher rock.
Probably. Yeah.
Interesting. It'd be
Or
also
they used the pre-existing chisel marks as spots that they would chisel out, and would just chisel out those chisel marks.
But like his skin is like baby smooth.
Well, it's also, I mean, we have to think about, yes, in recent years, obviously, David has been very well taken care of, but for a long time, it was out in the elements, and
if anything, that would make it like rougher.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, we're both, sculpting
We are
experts.
clearly sculpting experts.
It blows my mind to look at a very expensive piece of rock and be like, I can get a dude out of that.
I mean, I think that's probably the difference, though, is like, I don't have that kind of an artistic mind, so I don't look at things and see that.
Yeah, I just would, the people that can see, like the sculptors, they're like, oh, it's easy. You just take away all the parts you don't want. And you're like,
Right.
what?
Right.
Huh.
Hey, turn the audio on.
It is on. Oh.
That one. There you go.
Skip the warm-up this week.
Skip warm up this week.
Good catch. Good catch.
Okay.
That's code, guys.
It is.
It's a code.
Yeah, totally.
But, a lot of people these days, they specialize in either painting or sculpting. This dude did it all.
He did it all. He was incredible. Did you know he didn't like to put his signature on his works, even though they were amazing?
I mean, it's pretty hard to spell names. I wouldn't either. Did you know a jealous rival broke his nose when he was a teenager?
No.
I'm not going to read this whole paragraph. But
It's probably pretty self-explanatory. They got in a fight because they were rivals and punched him.
Yeah. One of, I guess, someone else who was studying with him, Pietro Torrigiano, grew so enraged at Michelangelo's superior talent and also perhaps his sharp tongue that he walloped him in the nose.
Walloped! We should use that word more often. Walloped.
Give me a wallop.
Give me a wallop.
Don't give me a wallop. I'm going to give you a wallop. Anyway, he was disfigured for the rest of his life. Took it to the grave. Did you know that he first rose to prominence after a failed attempt at art fraud?
I have kind of read about this before, but not really in depth. Tell me more.
Reading along together, everybody, on the screen.
Oh, that's real little.
Yeah, but if you're at home, here, I can make it bigger. Early in his career, Michelangelo carved a now lost Cupid statue in the style of the ancient Greeks. Upon seeing the work, his patron Lorenzo di
Pier Francesco
de Medici proposed an elaborate con. In quotes, if you were to prepare it so that it should appear to have been buried, Medici said, I shall send it to Rome and it would pass for an antique and you would sell it for much more profitability.
Oh.
Michelangelo agreed, and the sham Cupid was sold to Cardinal Raphael
Riario.
You're in charge of names from now on. Under the guise of being a recently recovered archaeological wonder. Riario later heard rumors of the scam and got his money back, but he was so impressed by Michelangelo's skill that he invited him to Rome for a meeting. The young sculptor would linger in the Eternal City for the next several years, eventually winning a commission to carve the work that first made him his name as an artist.
Wow. You know that the Pieta was the last thing that he actually signed.
Huh.
And it was one of his first works. He used to paint himself into his works instead of signing them.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Here's a picture of David, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to have to blur that.
I don't think so. It's not an actual person.
But I'm just saying that the skin is so smooth.
You're obsessed with how smooth it is.
Because it's hard enough to get wood. Like, as a former woodworker, it's almost impossible to get wood that smooth. Mm-hmm. And, like, just thinking of the tools of the 1500s. Mm-hmm. And if you have one wrong chisel mark and a whole thing flakes off just from the density of the stone, it's it's insane.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, much like woodwork, there are ways back in the day to, like, fix mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you know that Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci did not like each other at all?
Leonardo and Michelangelo didn't get along?
Yeah, right?
Did Splinter fix that? Hey, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was waiting to see how long it would take for it to come out.
Well, Donatello was always my favorite.
9 minutes and 40 seconds.
Hey! Oh, wow. This one's flying by.
Yeah. So Michelangelo and Leonardo stood out as strong and mighty personalities with two opposed attitudes towards art. Their fierce independence led to clashes whenever circumstances brought them face to face. Battle Royale, Leonardo versus Michelangelo.
So, dumb
Celebrity
question.
death match.
I guess I'm assuming now, it's safe to assume that they were alive at the same time then.
Yes, because
Okay.
they came face to face with each other.
That would help to be alive.
They worked together, like they worked in the arts at the same time and just viewed their art very differently.
Here's something.
Yeah.
Remember earlier, I think we were off air, but he lived to be 88 years old.
You said that and I was like, whoa, back then? That's incredible.
It's huge. But that beginning in 1505, Michelangelo worked for 9 consecutive Catholic pontiffs, which is the Pope.
Right.
From Julius II to Pius IV.
Wow.
So he worked, every pope that was alive while he was an
Right.
adult, which means they switched out popes a lot more frequently than they do
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I really enjoy those stories about people that stick with something like that. Like the butler at the White House that was there for like 12 presidents or something.
Yeah.
Like those
Regardless of their
stories.
affiliation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Stories are really cool.
It says here that his work for the Vatican was vast and included everything from crafting ornamental knobs for the papal bed to spending 4 grueling years painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, which is why we're talking about him today. Michelangelo's dealings with his holy patrons were not always pleasant. He had a particularly fraught relationship with the combative Pope Julius II and once spent 3 years working on a marble facade for Leo X, Little Leo X.
Leo X.
Only for the Pope to abruptly cancel the project. The artist later enjoyed more convivial partnerships with other pontiffs and found a famous champion in Pope Paul III, who defended his work, The Last Judgment, after church officials deemed its many nude figures obscene. Are you picturing nude people right now? What are you doing?
I'm not. No, this is so obviously we are doing this episode because this was the day that they unveiled the painting on the Sistine Chapel.
We should show a picture of that.
We should. This I think is a really, really cool fact. So apparently Michelangelo was not well liked amongst his peers.
Yes.
Any of them. He, first of all, was one of the wealthiest artists during that time. He got paid more. He also invested very wisely and successfully in real estate back then. And so it put him in a category ahead of Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael Sanzio, like other incredibly famous artists. So a lot of them tried to do things to sabotage him. So Renaissance painter Raphael, also another Ninja Turtle.
Was he alive at the same time?
I'm telling you a story about something he did to Michelangelo. So yes,
I got you.
Indeed, he was alive at the same time.
At the same time?
He convinced Pope Julius to hire Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel in an effort to sabotage his entire career. He did not think that Michelangelo was going to be able to paint the ceiling and actually complete it. So, keep in mind, at the time, Michelangelo was considered to be, for the most part, a sculptor and not a painter. Mm-hmm. So Michelangelo almost didn't accept the job, but eventually was talked into it. It took him 4 years, and he built his own scaffolding to lay on instead of standing on. Everyone else is like, oh, you'll have to stand up and your back will hurt all the time and blah, blah, blah. He was like, no, I can paint laying down. I'm good.
What if
And so he laid down painting most of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
I have heard that before. And here's a picture of it. But it's the
so
walls and everything.
Beautiful.
But what if they didn't really talk about specifics and he just rolled it in white? It's like, hey, you want to paint the Sistine Chapel?
I think that they have that conversation, like going into it, like, you know, he knew what was expected of him probably. It's especially in a chapel.
Yeah.
You are mostly expected angels and.
I was going for the funny. Because I could paint the Sistine Chapel. You just wouldn't like it when I was done with it. I mean, I could paint it blue or black or red.
Oh, Isaac.
I wouldn't even tape it off. I would just paint right over that stuff.
Yep. Well, you know what? That's 15 minutes on Michelangelo.
What? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got Southern all of a sudden.
I don't either.
That-
But that's 15 minutes on Michelangelo.
Did we burn off like a minute at the beginning or
No.
something? All right. Well,
That's it.
stay tuned for Raphael and Leonardo and Donatello. It's Ninja Turtles week here on
We'll
Misty
see
and
you tomorrow for not Ninja Turtles.
Fine. Bye, everybody.
Bye.